What's up, you guys? This is the Authentic Empress. I wanted to. I'm going to start pausing for a moment at the start of my videos because I'm noticing that even though the timer starts, like when I start speaking, I'm noticing that when I rewatch my videos, my voice is being cut off in the beginning. So, but anyway, God said that you will outpray them. So that was the first initial download. And then when I was getting ready to type it, I don't know if I thought about those who will try to debate that with a, well, well, I'll outwork you or something. But in out praying, quote unquote, is outworking to a degree when you think about it, because praying itself is a highly neglected um, or ignorantly expressed um, activity or whatever. Um, let's say phenomena. Heavy emphasis on that word lately. There's something heavily significant about phenomena or whatever, or spirit bringing things, back to your attention in full scope, um, or you receiving revelations, like just some new type of outstanding revelations. The fact that I'm saying outplaying, outworking, outstanding, um, you stand out. Yeah, you stand out because of this. So, what God showed me was like the Muslims, um, who pray often throughout the day, how they release their timers throughout their day on their phones and stuff of when they're going to pray. Um, it being like several times. And when you think about it, like when you hear them like just blatantly say that and blatantly do it, I feel like a lot of people who are not in that culture would feel like, man, that's a lot. Like, that's kind of doing a lot. That's too much. Like, like, dang, all day. People would be like, dang, like how you got time to do anything else? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you got time to do anything else? And even with saying that, they still see these people kind of outworking many others um, in their outplaying. Now, what I mean by outworking, I don't mean by like, oh, you're just aimlessly laboring in the physical or in the flesh. No, like a lot of times those outpraying people or whatever, they're laboring, in something that's essential and of necessity to our entire metaphysical existence to a degree or to an aspect of it, that contributes some type of balancing, some type of harmonizing energy, or a cleaning agent, so to speak, like something that breeds improvement. You get what I'm saying? Like they're showing me my teacher, you know, and I feel like, it's just a spiritual, it's like, it's a soul thing for sure. Um, and I guess like just your mind's family, your mind's cultivation, what I'm about to say, which is the love that some of us have for teachers along our journey. People who we feel like have, we view them as teachers, whether they're literal teachers, professors, instructors, coaches, pastors, elders, ministers, whatever, or just a prophetic person, a person who has some type of ministry that's on your path and is obvious. You know what I'm saying? Like in conversation and counsel and, you know, how they, live their lives. So, boom, um, they're showing me my teacher. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mr. Cruz because, Mr. Cruz is Muslim or whatever, and he's that person that sets timers on his phone, like to dip off and pray. And he's our teacher. So, like, and he's not just our teacher, man. I'm saying, like, this man, you know, his way of thinking and then forecasting that, presenting that to us, like, in a way where it's like, how can you not understand? Now, let's use anatomy and physiology for an example. Like, the way he's able to express and just thoroughly, thoroughly, like, open our minds to just the understanding of the body and how the body operates and things that the body may come into contact with and holistic ways of addressing it, okay, like whether in movement or some type of modality or what Chinese medicine, just different things, for example, acupuncture, but just higher knowledge things that the average person, I guess, wouldn't. And what I mean by the average person, what I mean by the average person is, you know, um, just someone who exists, but they're very much so in a programmed state kind of that kind of isn't conducive to just the harmony of things, you know. So he's just so brilliant, He's very brilliant, very, very intelligent. And what improves and enhances his intelligence is that it's not just skin deep, it's not just, worldly intelligence. It's spiritual as well. It's psychological. It's all of that. You feel me? Like it's just and he knows how to interconnect, like gather you an understanding that addresses one thing from all levels metaphysically. And he knows how to just produce this elixir of intelligence, bro. Like, I love the brew. It's amazing. You feel me? Like, that's how, like, anyway. But yes, like, so even though, like, it's kind of right in your face how often they pray. You feel me? You know, the divine says that we're supposed to be fervent in prayer. We're supposed to be prayerful a lot, prayerful at all times, prayer minded. When you think about it, excluding your moments in between of silent mindedness, like just your mind is actually silent, calm, taking in, what's around you or not, you feel me? But there's no flooding um of thoughts. There's stillness. There's not chaos in there. Those moments in between the chaos, those moments in between when your mind is flooded with different thoughts. It doesn't matter what your thoughts are. They don't have to always be bad thoughts, but just thoughts in general. Like whether you're thinking about something you're supposed to do on that day or how you're gonna, carry out tasks that you have planned for that day and what you're supposed to do on this particular occasion, occasional date, da 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 da, whatever the case may be. You feel me? Or whatever, you are doing or thinking of desiring to do, craving, just different thoughts that flood your mind throughout the entire day, right? Okay, is it too much? Like, let's really let's really unpack the wisdom of being prayerful at all times. You literally are already. You're naturally prayerful at all times, literally. Because prayer is also in silence as well. Prayer is verbal and nonverbal, okay? Prayer also includes those moments of stillness in between the noise, literally. Whether we choose to fill it up with just, you know, useless information or just casual information in existence, there's nothing is wrong with that, but imagine your life if you kind of just tether everything in alignment with, the most closest to divine frequency of thinking, feeling, being, existing, striving forward, creating, growing. And that's another thing too that's constant is creation. Creation is constant. We're constantly creating. You get what I'm saying? Like, so why do you think the influences are just as constant? We're bombarded with all manner of influences because we're always creating. Those of us who have a soul and have an opportunity to tether our soul to our most divine expression or spiral downward. You feel me? We're always fucking creating. So if you get possessed, so to speak, influenced by something that's really, really harmful to human nature or human mind or human, soul, whatever, bruh, you're going to be creating trauma, creating like traumatic situations, creating murder, creating rape, creating, all these horrid things because we're always creating, period. We're always creating this. We have to be prayerful minded because in whatever you're thinking, you're creating. Man should not live off bread alone, but by every word of God. I feel like bread is, attesting to our senses, those things that please our senses. And the reason why fasting is so important is because literally, like I just spoke about in a video I did recently, that's how Yeshua was so clear minded when he was tempted because he wasn't, in a place, he was fasting from all that intentionally, like fasting. So it's like his desire, his mind wasn't flooded with thoughts of desire, with desires that would please his senses. You get what I'm saying? Like he was more focused on the divine because, man, what's one thing that most people mind go to when they're at a very, very low place or very, very um, low valley in their life? God, the devil, heaven, hell, divinity, evil, questioning. Some people so low questioning existence and stuff and in mind considering all those things and whether it's real or not. You get what I'm saying? And what's the fucking point, while they're in their thoughts, you feel me? And why does it also say the mind is the devil's playground? I feel like the mind is the devil's playground if you permit it to be. You get what I'm saying? Like, this motherfucker can't just trespass your energy, like, unless you create some type of, you know? So, there's that too. So, when we talk about, for example, let's just be transparent. When you smoke weed and stuff like that, how it can open your mind to certain things, or quote unquote, when you consume spirits, alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Like, those Um, I'm thinking of the word. It starts with a B. I don't think it's barriers. Um, it could. I don't think it's barriers. It could be barriers. I mean, there's a way I can use barriers to explain the same thing. So yeah, but those mental barriers, those emotional barriers, spiritual barriers, whatever, that are supposed to be influence and impact. You get what I'm saying? It's like you. It's like literally getting behind a physical car while under the influence. You feel me? You're not as sharp type shit. And it's almost like your true self, is not controlling the vehicle. It's like something else is, or a lower form, a version of you is controlling the vehicle. So obviously, if that could possibly lead to accidents and even death, we're clearly not supposed to be just existing solely in you know, our more lower selves. Because you are a casualty to others type shit at that point. And I just feel like a lot of people are inconsiderate of that. They're arrogant, you know, they're arrogant in that desire, that overindulgence of desire that's consuming their body, that's consuming their thought. As a man thinketh, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so much so to the point of possession, because that barrier, there's access, there's access created for, either darker forces to inhabit your space. Your temple now becomes, you know what I'm saying? Lower or lesser forms of residency. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, would you rather live? Most people prefer to live in what? A mansion. If it was up to them, most people would want something more extravagant, even if it's small. They would want something of better quality to reside in, something more clean, you know, type shit. Because where you reside affects your health. Where your soul resides affects your soul's health. And that's just facts. People can try to say, oh, you're a witch. Oh, you're weird. Oh, you're peculiar. Duh, bitch. God told you that. People can say God not real. You get what I'm saying? Like, man, I have all kind of conversations that it's interesting, but you have to know how to separate the wheat from the tares in these conversations, because there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom and clarity and confirmation, you feel me, that can be gained. And you know, I love that one of the examples I used earlier, I was talking about a teacher, or teachers, right? My teacher. Because think about schools. If we're talking about everybody prefers to live in a mansion, right? And how our bodies are equivalent to houses, buildings, supposed to be a temple, you know. A temple in a sense is even greater than a mansion when you think about it. Just saying, I'm saying like in concept and just understanding type shit. I don't know. I don't know how to get more clear than that, but I'm just saying is think about schools. Think about facilities and things that are created for our improvement in healthcare and wellness. And think about that. So think about schools. Is there and okay, boom, even better, a homeschool. Are you a homeschool? Your temple, your body, your vessel, your vehicle? Can it get you to and fro? And not just to and fro, but is it gonna just be breaking down on you and shit? Like, and if it is, if something does happen with it, like, are you in position, to create balance or to improve it or, get repair, that's sustainable. Um, so yeah, schools, is your body, equivalent to that, you know? So you will outpray them for the simple fact that understanding how powerful prayer is and how strong influence it is. The things we do, for example, to appease that quote unquote craving, It's like you need to do the same thing in a manner that can improve your prayer life. Like the tools that we've been given, we're supposed to use them to our highest version of ourselves benefit, right? We're supposed to use it to our inner child's benefit, right? But unfortunately, it gets abused. It gets a lot of things, a lot of tools given to us, inventions, whatever, innovations, um, programs. They get abused and misused, okay? Because there's something that's off in between those dots. You know what I'm saying? Something's off there. People are not making the proper or more aligned connections, so that they utilize them more beneficially, not in a manner that is harmful to others for no fucking reason or like just useless pain, trauma. I don't know, bro. Like, but there's a way to do things. There's just a way to do things. So yeah, you're gonna be guided, or you've been guided. Excuse me. You've been guided to use yours and use these things to unlock, decode, confirm, demystify, create, generate. You know what I'm saying? Um, things for you like to include in your prayer life, which also includes how you influence your mind by the information you expose it to. So all these questions or these things, these inklings that you get and you dig into that, you research that. You know what I'm saying? You're cultivating for yourself like an internal environment that's literally conducive to creating a thought space or thought patterns um, that reflect or that are interconnected with the Most High or with the divine, okay, or just divinity itself, okay, and whatever expression that may be, whether that's just genuine love, compassion, compassionate energy, considerate energy, um, utilizing assertion when necessary, okay, understanding a healthy sense of pride, maintaining that dignity, integrity, you know what I'm saying? Like, even in the face of challenges and defense and offense, when you have to defend yourself, like, there's a way to do things. You don't just, you don't just extinguish your morale because you're under attack. Like, what the hell? That's a time of all times to remain, in a divine expression, even if the emotion that's charging that is anger, for example. When people demonize anger, it's out of ignorance at the end of the day. It's out of them being shunned or seeing someone shunned because of, let's say, a lower level or a more demonic expression of anger, uncontrolled, lack of discipline, all of that shit. Um, but it's another thing when you do express that anger with discipline and self control to an extent. You know what I'm saying? But self control, so you don't get to the point of, just, you know, ir irreversible damages or some shit. I don't know, bro, but like, yeah, and to those of us who really are sent here by the divine. It's not rocket science type shit. Like it's really like about what feels right and what feels wrong. Literally. Um, mm, you know how you can watch a video of something really, really sweet or something um really, really joyful, happy, or celebratory going on. And it can arouse emotions in you that will cause you to cry tears of joy, tears of, gratitude, you know, tears of, I don't know, like whatever. But it can arouse emotions in you even though that is not your situation. Like what could reflect a situation in your life or reflect a situation you're experiencing, but those people that it's happening with that you're experiencing, just like with movies and stuff, how it can arouse certain emotions. That's why we have genres of movies because they can arouse certain emotions. You know, it just arouse certain energy within us. So it's like when that energy comes in and it's moving around, it's flowing through you, what are you doing with that energy? Outwardly or externally. Even internally, what are you doing with that energy? So when we think about projection, ill wishing, you know, evil eye, whatever the case may be. What are you doing with that anger internally, with that energy moving inside of you? Is energy or emotions, so to speak, is energy and emotion, right? So that's why you can consume the emotion or you can consume the energy and it moves you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's influencing your inner waters, hence why you're made mostly of water. Um, it moves, it changes the frequency, just like that experiment of speaking affirmations or speaking ill things into the water, a cup of water, a glass of water, and then microscopically seeing the differences in how the water crystallized and how there was, you know, alchemical, geometrical um, forms in the water that was spoken positive affirmations and positive things into it, opposed to the water, that was spoken with, insults and all that. It's the same thing with us. We don't do these things for fucking nothing. We don't do these things. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Our minds, our souls, we don't, the fact that science is even a thing, we can't completely knock science because science in a way is it's a level of our intelligence, like our curiosity, if we direct it in a manner that can be used to really serve us, in a divine light, in a divine manner, like things that we can figure out to solve things, to create solutions to problems that we may encounter. You get what I'm saying? Like, yes, people abuse every avenue of any tool given or created or generated. Period. That's just the reality. Period. However, people's challenge is breaking away from that, is being okay with being separated, is, you know, being okay with being the odd one, being the peculiar one, being feared, people wondering about you, trying to figure you out, you know what I'm saying? Because you are very strange to them. It's estranged, it's you're estranged from them. It's strange for them because a lot of people are estranged from God. Duh. So it's like I love the words that were um I love the words that were expressed, that were intentionally selected um, with the divine helping us understand who we are, how we are, and why we are, and why we experience or encounter um, warfare. Hmm. Hmm. Like, let's really talk about it, right? When people do things to you, when people talk about you, plot, whatever, in what way is it the most destructive to you? Right? That's like, in what way is it most destructive to you? The way that is the most destructive to you, I mean, outside of if something leads to, you know, something physical, like a physical termination, but it's the way that it has the possibility to influence and consume your thoughts. And yeah, I feel like that's just one of the mysteries of it all. People want to consume your thoughts, you know what I'm saying? And have you think yourself into a delirium, like think yourself into um, situations that they're hoping you can't come out of, you know, or situations that pull you further down, situations that may lead to others being harmed, you know, a quote unquote casualties of what. So, I feel like I feel like this whole age of Aquarius thing, um, Aquarius energy, Aquarius being the star card, the healing card, right? It's related to collective energy, Saturn, Uranus, uh, and I want to say Uranus or Uranus, whatever how you say it, Uranus is associated with labor, right? Your work ethic, your labor that you do, your work. Um, Technology, like spiritual technology as well, not this. See, that's my thing. We are spiritual, having a natural experience. So the technology that people generate by their flesh into the flesh or into the world, it's like, okay, there is spiritual technology first and foremost. It is the root of all technology, period. We are ourselves electrical beings. Okay, so it's like, it's not that technology altogether is dark, sinister, demonic, whatever. Again, we're provided and we create all of these tools so we can further create, you know. And you have some people who wisely execute and apply these tools, and you have others who abuse and misuse them, whether that is due to ignorance or just flat out carelessness and um, abuse of power. Period. I mean, damn, like we see it like that's the bulk to how people exist when you really think about it. Like, and that's just that. So it's like you have to outpray. Um, a lot of people, have been sharing their biases and opinions about AI, and how it's not trustworthy and stuff like that. Again, I just feel like everything, they're tools. You know what I'm saying? And it's about how do you use it. It's just like the whole algorithm thing, you know? And I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, like when it seems like, are those moments where we'll think about something I'm not talking about when you talk about it and then you, let's say, you go on your YouTube and whatever you just got done talking about near your phone pops up at the top of your timeline or on your timeline. No, I'm saying when you thought about it, when you think about certain shit, then go on your YouTube and whatever you thought about is on your fucking timeline. You know what I'm saying? Electricity. So there's like a plexus. There's a plexus around us, literally. Yo, it's crazy how reflective everything is to our literal sense of being. So, for example, imagine like if you was on a plane and you was over in Atlanta type shit, and you see all these lights, you know, like this plexus of lights and shit. That's literally how it is with our souls. And I feel like that is why it's so crucial, again, to be prayerful, intentionally, um, or put yourself, create, a frequency environment within yourself to be in that flow or, on that level, so to speak, because, yo, like, it's a lot going on around us. There's a lot going on around us. Um, and these things that I would think of, y'all, and put on, cars, and I'll make my own cars and stuff. These will really be downloads. I don't be knowing, like, it just comes from me. Like, it just comes from God or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I say, like, I remember when I thought about, okay, the demographic and local frequency and how just being in that demographic area, being in that environment, you could possibly just being influenced by the overall frequency or the most dominant frequency in that environment. I have not read that shit in a book. Nobody taught me that in school. That was just something like from other bits and units of exposure to information, remembrance, or just straight up downloads, man. Like, it's just, you know, so, but that's literally a thing. That's literally a thing. Um, And there's nothing wrong with being around people, going together, um, doing anything like that. You just have to be mindful. I would definitely say that I wouldn't feel peaceful within to go hang out on a block where it's hella gang culture and it's all these gang bangers, you feel me, as a woman, as like the person that I am right now. I don't feel like it's logical, whether psychologically logical or spiritually logical, for me to go out on a block where it's like 17 niggas gang banging with a bunch of guns, drugs, and shit. I don't care how good, I don't care if they all fine as hell. Let's say they all fine as fuck. They all got money, hella money, get me whatever I want type shit, or if I was to date one of them, I just would not feel peace within my spirit to just go there on, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night and just chill on the block with all these men and all these guns. Like, it don't make sense. So let's think about that as a frequency. Now, there's demographic frequencies, but the divine is also like showing me almost like a cloud, how people also are like clouds of frequency. Think about it. Like how there's clouds in our sky, above our oceans, above our land. That's literally how energetically people manifest around us in the spirit. Those cliques and those groups that are toxic, whatever, they're like little, just dirty bubbles, like just dirty bubbles flirting, like just floating. I said flirting, floating around type shit. Look, trying to flirt with you, trying to flirt you and bait you into joining the, you know, the consumable cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool the wisdom that God gives us through the earth, through nature. Like, it's crazy. You know when Mother Nature turning and can't nobody do nothing about it? When she turn up and nobody can do anything about it. When there's a hurricane, nobody can do nothing about that. When there's a tornado, nobody can do nothing about that. When there's a flood, nobody can do nothing about that but try their best to get the fuck out of the way. Nobody can do nothing about that. Nobody can do anything about a worldly or earthly disaster, that's weather based. That's elemental. Nobody can do anything about that but try to get out of the way or try to survive, right? So think about what happens with people, right? When their elements, their internal elements are wonky or they get too imbalanced, bro. They're literally like little hurricanes and tornadoes and floods being formed. And it's like, bro, get out of their way. Get out of their way. Now, let's talk about the two ways that manifest, right? In an evil expression, that would be somebody, let's say like a serial killer, or let's say a pathological liar, or pathological uh, player, incubus, succubus, whatever, or whoremonger, or people who just crash out, rapists, and people who just go off the deep end in the physical type shit. There's ways that those storms can express itself. People do quick things impulsively or whatever. Now, that's one way. In the spirit, um, like, or in a divine expression, that may look like, let's say, somebody that's been provoked for so long, or um, people targeting them or trying to destiny swap, trying to harm them, creating rumors and gossip, trying to defame their character, trying to harass them, create discomfort, disturb their peace, and they're innocent, they're pure, they've done nothing to deserve this or to these people. Um, there was no righteous um, reasoning for these things being done to this person, yada, yada, yada. Let's say this person is respected highly in the spirit realm, and let's say they're very protected. Okay, so let's say shit backfires because of that. Okay, that's another expression of a hurricane, a flood, a tornado. Nobody can stop or do anything about. It's just best for them to try to get out of the way, try to survive. And as we know and witness in the flesh, so people get consumed by it. So it's best that we not provoke God's children to anger and then expect after that provocation respect. Ain't that crazy as hell? How people will provoke you, provoke you, and provoke you, and then have the audacity to complain about you not respecting them or having respect for them. And those people that'll try to like override or not even acknowledge their provocation, but they want to talk about them being disrespected or feeling disrespected. That's why the word specifically says, parents, do not provoke your children, and children, obey your parents, or respect your parents. So it's like, but people always try to leave like a portion off of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like half-hearted shit. Um, that's that masquerading as light shit. That's just a layer. You get what I'm saying? That's a cloak of light. You get what I'm saying? But it's not penetrable. It's not, yeah, you know, that's the illusion as well of flesh and soul. Being spiritual, having a natural experience, quote unquote. Are we? Because a lot of people not, oh my God, I love God so fucking much. And I love me so much because we're supposed to be having a natural experience, but motherfuckers don't even want to be natural anymore. God said we are spiritual, having a natural experience. People are doing everything possible to be superficial and wonder why you're so lost and confused by you, or when they encounter somebody, you know, that really is chosen. Can God even recognize you? Damn. You know, people don't realize that they're hiding. People don't realize that they're hiding. Huh. Hmm. It's one thing to be hidden by God. It's another thing to be hidden from God. Hmm. Hmm. It's crazy. Hmm. Because I feel like these parables, they just hold so much wisdom. Like, clearly, nothing is hidden from God. We understand that, right? But just like when the story, let's talk about the story, because not everybody believes in the story, but the story is still a parable that holds a lot of wisdom. So we're going to talk about it. So, boom, when Adam and Eve ate from that tree, and then they proceeded to cover themselves, quote unquote, and hid themselves from God. And God came straight to where they were, called out to them and everything. But I said what I said for a reason. He knew exactly where they were. He gave them the opportunity. Um, he asked in hope to receive by their own free will to boldly come to them, come to him as they are. He asked, right? Even though he knew exactly where they were. He knew where they were. He knew what they did. He knew why they did it already, right? But he asked them to give them the opportunity to practice their own free will and hope that they chose integrity, right? Integrity is doing what's right even when no one's looking type shit. Now they already defiled their integrity once, which is known about. Okay. But out of respect of free will, I'm not gonna force nothing. But I am all knowing, all seeing. So I want to give you the opportunity to confess, to repent, to be honest, to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Um, to be real, to be authentic. And out of fear, out of guilt, out of shame, Some people will prefer to hide themselves, you know? And you know what I think God does sometimes? I think God will let them stay quote unquote hidden, but He's still gonna acknowledge them and also acknowledge why, you know, why they're hiding and what they should do, you know, what they can do. He's going to provide the wisdom, if you want it, of, what to do next, basically, to resolve that. But the same way that divine influence is present, right? Demonic influence is also present. So that soft, you know how people like to describe God's voice as like more softer and quote unquote to demonic energy. It's not necessarily that. I feel like it's more so like it's not forceful. It's not it's not forceful because sometimes God can speak to you in a very firm voice. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily soft in that degree, but it's in a degree where you still have choice type shit and you have choice in both options, of course, like whether you're being provoked by whatever. You still have a choice, but at the end of the day, it's definitely not encouraging you to do something that's soul damaging to you or someone else. Like, it's not gonna be nothing like that. Hmm. But yeah, so I feel like a lot of people are hiding themselves out of shame, out of guilt, out of insecurity. Hmm. Hiding themselves from God instead of being hidden by God. That's just how I feel about it. Like, there's a time and a place. There's a season for solitude. Um, there's always going to be moments of solitude. That's why we got to have them. For example, when you're asleep, even if you're asleep with somebody, that's a moment of solitude. And the divine feel like, or your body feels like 8 hours, 7, 6, 5 hours is equivalent, to quote unquote a full rest type shit. So if your body requires that length of solitude, that means that, okay, that is naturally a part of our regimen. That is a part of our natural experience, right? That we require for our soul. So now you're not supposed to just be around like just flat, just right there in the mix. You're not supposed to be in the fucking mix more often than like more often than solitude. No, it's not supposed to be like that. Like you need at least a balance. If you need a balance, you need a balance of that. And even the way that they've structured business or just the career concept of 8 hours at work, quote unquote, is the general, right? 8 hours at work, 8 hours for sleep, and then you have, those other, um, is that 8 hours? Uh, mhm. You have those other 8 hours to do what I want with that, you know. But it's the reason why it's by eights, you know what I'm saying? Hmm. And the divine is cool. So yeah, I didn't even finish my thought about the Aquarius energy, the age of Aquarius, and like um Aquarius energy in the mind. Like, why is there such a heavy emphasis on Aquarius energy, thoughts, right? Why is Aquarius energy air and associated with swords and thoughts and communication? It's a big emphasis on that energy, and why it's associated with the star card and healing. Because I mean, we gotta be prayerful minded and intentional with our words. Like, and it don't matter how many times, like, we've heard this, right? But I don't think we really, really, really make the connect like that as often. Whether you are consciously, intentionally praying or unintentionally, you're always praying. So those people who are hijacked and tempted to hate on you, envy you, covet something you have, that's unfortunate because, you know, something we should be very responsible and delicate with. They're abusing. They're thinking these ill thoughts towards you. They're thinking of plans and plots to destroy you, to eliminate you, to get you out of the way, or to take something from you, right? Mm. And so it's so powerful. People may demonize the whole concept of return to sender. Um, but you tell me this, right? In the flesh, in the physical, if somebody approaches your home, right, and your children, your family, your loved one is in that home, if somebody approaches your home to harm you or someone you love, are you just going to, how are you gonna, like, how are you gonna handle that? You know what I'm saying? If a ravenous beast or animal charges towards you, attacks you to harm you, one of your first instincts would probably be to harm it back. Um, and then in some rare cases, you can just, I guess, calm the situation without anybody getting hurt. But it's about the energy. It's just about all the energy that's present. You know what I'm saying? Um, because if somebody's attached something to someone or to an animal, I just feel like those are cases where it can be a little more extreme and that weapon may need to be returned to sender. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, I know that scares people, like that whole thing, but it's more so what's inhabiting the person that's being attacked back, okay? Because I feel like a person's purest version of themselves are not just going to attack somebody. They have to be influenced by something dark, demonic, or confused, or possessed by something, hijacked by something to attack someone who's innocent in the first place. So it's like when you return to sender that energy to its source, okay, in a way that's kind of like an exorcism, but it also depends on that person. It also depends on that person, what they open themselves up to, what they hold on to, you know, whether they're doing what's necessary to detach themselves from things or protect themselves. You get what I'm saying? Like, but in a way, you help eradicate whatever that is within them that's attacking you by returning that energy back to sender. So I just feel like that's a part of you reap what you sow. They're sowing it anyway. They're sowing it for it to manifest for you, type shit. But you reap what you sow. So even though you gossip about me, you created rumors, you try to defend my character, you try to steal something from me, you try to harm me, plot, whatever. You sow all these seeds that you are going to reap because God said you reap what you sow. I mean, so what's wrong with somebody doing a return to sender? Like, make it make sense to me. You created a weapon, or you formulated a weapon, hoped that it will prosper for me, but God already said no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So, um, I don't want it. I don't accept it. Thank you. I mean, I don't know if that was intended to be a kind gesture, but I don't want it. So I'm gonna return it back to you. Thank you. I mean, maybe you thought I would, I would love to receive that, but I don't, so I think it's only right for me to return it back to you. You do with what thou wilt with that, but it's not accepted here. I don't accept it. If you're not careful, people can trick you into expressing acceptance in a manner that actually works against you. I think I think we know that, we experience it, we witness it, but we're not fully conscious of that. You know, we're not fully conscious of the power that's in acceptance or the lack thereof. Hmm. You petitioned, offered, attempted to steal my destiny, but I don't accept it. It's rejected. I don't accept your attempt. I don't accept your request to whomever you made. I don't care what entity or demon you made the request to, they still have to come to me. Ain't that crazy? How people think they can bypass your will. People think they can bypass your authority by inquiring demons, right? Demonic entities to assist them in taking something from you, from your akasha, as if demons or demonic entities can, they're as if their power comes close to yours. This is an expression of resilience, for example. This is why God said He didn't give us the spirit of fear. Fear is a concoction used by demonic forces, entities, demons, okay, in an attempt to, quote unquote, weaken the barriers, to drain, to steal from, or out of your temple, out of your house, okay, out of your wellspring, whatever, right? However, don't accept the ring at the doorbell. Don't accept the knock at the door. Because that's what fear is. It's a spirit. They send that first, right? And then they try to ambush right after. Because fear can show up in a manner of, oh, I'm just trying to help you. Fear can express itself. I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to make sure you're okay. I'm just trying to make sure you're safe. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if they're doing this? What if? You know what I'm saying? but it masquerades itself as light as well. Yes. Why? Because it understands, the internal communication within us. So, with discernment, with making a judgment on a situation, you do have to consider, possible outcomes to a degree. However, the truth is in that mixture of consideration. God is giving you the truth if you are in alignment with that. God is giving you the truth while you're debating, a decision or the judgment, whatever, right? So it's like they just they send fear, okay? They try to mix in and toss in there, hoping that, of course, you are gravitationally pulled to the fear of the unknown, opposed to your faith in things not seen, quote unquote, right? Hmm. But when you go the correct route of your faith, your trust in the divine and the seeds that you've sown, okay, being intentional with your prayers, with your words to combat the fears, to combat the possible negative outcomes, yeah, opposed to you accepting it. Why would I accept it? Why would I accept that when I didn't sow that? So you want me, that's why they say you can't accept gifts from everybody. You're not supposed to accept gifts from everybody. That's why there's a thing where people can literally hex and place curses on gifts and objects. And when they give them to them and you accept the gift or the object, you accept the curse or the hex that's binded to that object or that gift. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So no, just like you're not supposed to always accept gifts, just saying, you're not always supposed to accept fears that people try to forecast to you or try to project onto you or project. It's a reason why projectors, like from school and shit, it comes out of this little machine. It's created, formulated inside that machine, and then projected outwardly for us to see visually. It's the same thing. People project things into your computer, into your mind, into your thought space, show you these visions of things type shit. And they want you to accept it as truth. They want you to accept the vision so that it manifests. Ain't it crazy how these hating motherfuckers can't really manifest unless they hijack a manifesting generator? Somebody who actually can. They have to tap into somebody else's power, someone else's energy. They have to harvest. They have to feed in order to manifest it, or just take it, or they just try to take it. Yeah. So you need me to help you manifest shit in regards to what's mine. You need me to help you take something from me by me succumbing to the projected thought that you want to manifest. You're trying to, okay, so it's not just a matter of you trying to create fear within that person. You're trying to utilize their power to steer things in your favor by manner of fear, by manner of acceptance of that fear, opposed to that person tapping into their faith. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Hmm. But I don't want this video to be this long or be that long, so thank you for those who tuned in. This is the Authentic Empress. I'll see you on the next video.